Then you'll just
Just
have
want
to
to double check. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Library Makers Roundtable today. My name is Kelly Nimitz. I am the chair of the events committee for Library Makers. For those that are new, Library Makers is a wonderful community. We connect and support library maker staff of all levels and experiences. We recognize and experience the strengths that each member brings to the community. We want to create a self and welcoming space for library makers to ask questions and share knowledge, find mentors, and develop skills. And we want to equip and advance library professionals to be innovative leaders in their field. So today we are going to be doing part 3 of our problems of practice roundtables. Um, Today we're going to be led by Natasha Payne Brunson. She is the library makers from the leadership team in Henrico, Virginia. If I butcher any of these names, I apologize. We also have Lisa Regala. She is another member of our leadership team from California, and Rita Primo from Sonoma State University. So they are going to be leading the discussion today. I'll let you guys take it from here.
Thanks, Kelly. Do you mind just advancing the slides? Is that okay to keep it up and just advance? Okay. If you can go to the next slide. Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Regala. Thanks for being here. Um, so just wanted to give you a little orientation. You can go to the next slide or next thing to pull it up about what these roundtables are all about. Library Makers was funded through a generous grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. And as part of that grant, we had identified these problems of practice and are now collecting strategies to help address them. And so this will result in a short publication later this year. And so your participation in this roundtable today is super important. We're really looking for your insights, knowledge, wisdom, and things that you've tried or you're struggling with at your library. We are recording this today, and so we're going to be taking that information um, and putting out some practical advice for libraries in the future. Next slide. And so just a little bit about our agenda and our guidelines today. So we have this brief introduction. We are going to do a minute for like a large group discussion on the topic, but then we are going to go into breakout rooms, and there'll be 2 rounds of breakout rooms. And we heard from all of you, if you've been to the first 2 roundtables in those surveys, that you wanted a little bit more time in the breakout rooms. So we're trying to speed through the beginning of this and get that large group discussion down a little bit. So we might cut that off just to make sure that we get enough time in the breakout rooms. We've been running out of time for those breakout rooms. So we're going to try to honor your wishes. Thank you for that feedback and give a little more time in the breakout sessions today. We'll have some time to share back from the breakout sessions and then a brief wrap up. So just because we are going to be having a lot of discussions today, we want to hear from you. We have a few guidelines. We just ask that everyone is an active listener today, that you're open to sharing knowledge that you have on this topic with everyone, that you're respectful of everyone and their opinions and what they're bringing to the table, and that you give everyone an opportunity to participate. So especially if someone maybe is a little more shy, to make sure they get a chance to speak or type their information in the chat. So feel free to use the chat along the way too. We ask that you keep your cameras on as much as possible. I know that's not always possible. Some people are at the desk or, doing things, but if you're in a place that's possible, it's always nice to have a discussion and see someone's face and body language as well. Be open to new ideas and encouraging of others. It can be helpful to use that raise the hand feature on Zoom, especially we're in a big, large group asking questions, so we can call on you to speak. So if you would like to unmute yourself and say something, please feel free to use that raise hand feature. And again, the session's going to be recorded so we can use this data for the follow-up guides. Next slide, Kelly. Okay, so our focus today is on these problems of practice. So these are common challenges that we have found that many of you that run library makerspaces. So digging over the past year, we worked with the research team as well, who was doing some focus groups on like, what are these common challenges that most people in a library makerspace are facing? And so we've narrowed it down to these 5: outreach and engagement, making the case, accessible and welcoming, sustainable and future ready, and staff growth and empowerment. And today we've had, as Kelly said, we've had this series of roundtables going on. Today our focus is on problem 3, which is providing accessible and welcoming makerspaces. And just a little more, if you go to the next slide, a little more information about what we mean by that is that we're creating accessible and welcoming makerspaces and programs requires intentionally addressing cultural, socioeconomic, developmental, and physical barriers that might prevent someone's full participation in your space. So the work involves understanding the diverse needs of our communities and identifying those practical strategies that each of us can do to ensure that there's equitable access to all of the technology, the spaces, the learning opportunities, the wonderful things that you all do in your communities. So that's how we've defined it. And we've come up with this set of, so this is our first kind of set of questions I would like to pose to the whole group and start a whole group discussion. I also need to say, um, I know I'm the main facilitator today, but I got to give credit to Natasha. She really, she's feeling under the weather. So I'm taking over for her today, but she did the bulk of the work in pulling all of this together in the wonderful breakout session questions that we have. So thank you, Natasha. Um, so today we're going to read a couple of statements that are challenges and assumptions that we have come up with around creating accessible and welcoming maker spaces. But as I go through them, I want you to think about if you agree with these statements, do not agree with these statements, would you add something to it? Would you say it a little bit differently than how we have it worded? And then once I go through them, we'll open it up if you want to raise your hand, if someone wants to comment and add verbally, but also feel free in the chat to type things as I go through. So, and Natasha, if you're able to, feel free to chime in too. But the first is that accessibility is often addressed reactively rather than being really intentional and embedded from the start. If that's something that you agree with or you've seen, let us know. The next one, Kelly, if you can go, is that barriers may be invisible to those who do not experience them. Have you seen that in your space? That policies and safety procedures can unintentionally limit participation. And it's part of the conversation we'll have in breakout sessions about that too. That staff confidence and training around accessibility varies. Do you agree with that? Have you seen that in your space? And that a sense of welcome is shaped not just by the space itself, but by the culture, language, and behavior of those in that space. Is that a statement that you agree with and have you seen? So feel free to type in the chat. We'll open it up now to discussion. If you have something you want to add or say towards that, please feel free to raise your hand. Try to see if I can see everyone too. Are these resonating with you? Things that you've seen? Can you go back a slide, Kelly?
Yeah, sorry, I'm having technical difficulties on my
No
end.
problem.
Give me a second. Oh, geez. Yeah, just give me just a second, you guys. You can start just typing your things into the chat while I get the slide back to where it needs to go.
No problem. Natasha, is there anything you want to add maybe to kick us off and get us started? Oops, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, there we go. I heard you now a little bit.
Okay. So based on my experience with working in makerspaces,
Natasha, you're really faint. I don't know if, is it faint for other people to
no.
hear? I don't know
Can
why.
you hear me now?
Can others, maybe it's on my end, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, Kelly was having problems at first. I don't
There you
know.
go. Now
Okay.
it's working. Now it's
Okay.
working.
All right. So based on my experience with working in makerspaces, it's, always been a challenge on how to adapt when it comes to programs and what to make accessible for all. And we want to make sure we can cater to our community needs. So, I'm always the type of person I try to find a workaround in order to give back to the community, when it comes to economical standpoints versus working with folks with disabilities. I always face these challenges, but it also comes with providing great customer services. So it's just wanting, to hear from others of what they are doing for their community.
Thanks, Natasha. See some things in the chat too. The one about policies unintentionally limiting people is resonating, unintentionally limiting participation. Some people feeling like they might be more reactive to accessibility as well. The welcoming culture. Hmm. Yeah, there's a point there about having a policy of at least one person greeting everyone who comes into the space. I see some nods. I feel like some other folks that might resonate with you as well.
Yeah, whenever anyone comes in the library in general, I'm always trying to be like, "Hey, welcome, come on in."
Exactly, because when people come in and they might look confused and you want to make sure you're inviting, and then they will start asking questions. I have picked up that quite a deal.
Mhm. There's some questions too, if there's already existing resources people know of for training for staff, if anyone knows any, to put them in the chat.
Someone brings up a good one about the ability to have like time or funding to like bring accessibility and training and stuff. I can especially like when like especially if you're trying to make sure like everything is like is it ADA or ADL compliant like when
Yes,
entering the
yes.
library? Yeah.
And that's a great question because when I was doing interviews with other library systems and academic libraries as well, they never thought about that, and they became more intrigued to find out type of trainings and resources, to provide to make sure, when it comes to the library standpoint, that we, follow the correct guidelines for that. So it made it more of an eye opener for a lot of folks.
Um, I'm trying to scroll through some of these questions too, so I apologize if I miss
We're
any like statements or anything too. So yeah, Rita, you do bring up a good point about funding, different vibe than perhaps a broader makerspace. Gary, this is a good one. Like if a makerspace looks like if it's a laboratory or if it's like lots way too much stuff, then you can tell like
intimidation. Yeah.
oh, definitely. At our library in like in Stevensville, Michigan, we just started up a digital lab and we have a lot of like it's more digitizing stuff. So and we have a more of kind of like a senior community in our so we're always like trying to help them out with like how to convert like their VHS tapes to
Right.
digitized files and stuff like that.
And with my library system, since I was here since we opened, I helped create the digital media lab. But when people look at our digital media lab, it looks like a advanced computer lab. So that's why I'm glad I get to have an additional space to make it more of a maker space for crafting and stuff. But just to have a different outlets or different rooms to have different accessible equipments and resources too, so where a lot of people don't think about. Just like when we went to Colorado.
Sorry, I was not trying
Yeah,
to.
I love that setup. So with the different spaces.
Mhm. Thanks everyone for all these great conversations in the chat. I'm wondering if we should move to our first set of breakout rooms so folks can continue the conversation. There'll be two sets of breakout rooms that have different topics. So thank you again, Natasha, for pulling these together. You'll have a choice of which room you want to go to. And then that second round, it'll be a different set of questions. And you'll have a choice of a room you would like to go to. So we're going to try this time. You'll be able to pick which of these rooms you want to go to. We're going to try coming back as a big group and do a brief share out. So we do ask that we have a participant from each group that's ready and willing to do a very brief 30-second share out that kind of summarizes what your group talked about. Then we'll go back into the second round of breakouts and then the same come back with a share out. So the first room is on physical and sensory access. You can see this talks more about the physical barriers that affect your space, how first-time users experience the space compared to returning participants, what small or low-cost adjustments could have improved access, and how you gather feedback on physical and sensory access beyond formal complaints. Room 2 will be focused on policies, procedures, and staff culture. So, and I saw some comments in the chat about this too, but definitely, what kind of signups, prerequisites, safety rules, guidance, and stuff do you have? And how might those like unintentionally discourage participation? Where does staff have flexibility in that? How do the tone, language, and assumptions used by the staff affect participation? How does staff balance that safety, accountability, and inclusion? And what training or shared norms support staff in creating that welcoming environment? And then room 3 will be about more focus on the program and instructional design. So how your makerspaces support beginners and experienced makers, where might tools, instructions, or project setups unintentionally favor confident or tech savvy participants, how you introduce those tools without testing or gatekeeping, where participants have meaningful control over what they make and what it looks like at the end. And how you engage people when they first come in. What does your space say to someone, right, when they first come in? So with that, if you hope you've had a minute to just look over these, we're going to have you pick a room. Rita, Natasha, and myself will be leading one of these rooms. And then Kelly, let's try we'll try 14 minutes in our breakout rooms to give a little more time. 14 minutes. So she's going to set a timer for 14 minutes, and then we'll all come back together at that and do a brief share out before we go to the next room.
All right, the rooms should be open, so yeah.
And then once the breakout room's open, you should see a window listing the names of everyone in the session. You should scroll down until you find the breakout room you want to join. And then you should be able to click the join. I'm not seeing it right now. I don't know if other folks are. Oh, there we go. I had to click the box, but so you should be able to see the room you want to join and then be able to join it. Okay, looks like a lot of people are joining. Great. Okay, I'm going to my breakout room. We'll see you in a little bit, Kelly. Can help people navigate if they need.
All right, yep. And I have a timer on my end so I can
Thank you.
so I can keep track of things and close the rooms when it's time. So probably around like 2:34, it looks like.
My computer just crashed.
Oh, okay. All right, do you want me, are you able to see the rooms at all?
No.
Okay, okay, let me see if I can, okay, do you remember which room you were gonna join? 1, 2, or 3? Because it says I can assign you to a room, so.
Great. That'd be great.
Number 3?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna take you to 3. So hopefully that works. All right. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes for everyone to get back in, and I'll share the screen here in just a second.
Kelly, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
My computer is like dying.
Oh, oh no. Oh my goodness. All right.
Of all days.
Well, thanks everyone. I know we had really good discussions in my breakout room. Let's actually, Kelly, before we go to the second slide, I
No,
want to
yeah,
just
no.
hear.
I just realized what I just did. So
That's
give me
okay. Or
just a
we can
sec.
go
Yeah.
back.
No,
Maybe we
you
can
good.
just hear from just like a 30-second recap from room one. Would anyone like to share a recap of some of the highlights you talked about? Anyone from room one? I can talk
Uh,
if no one's.
yeah, I think there's still some people that are still like in breakout rooms. So I'm not sure what's
Oh,
going on
yeah.
with that.
Slowly breaking out.
Yeah.
Going
So I
back
don't,
and
yeah,
move them
there
back.
wasn't a ton of people in the first two rooms. So let me see if I
Yeah,
can.
Yolanda was saying something and cut her off. So it was getting good too.
All right.
Uh, Rita, do you want to give a quick summary then?
Yeah, I think for we our topic was physical spaces and there and some sort of issues that kept arising were funding, talking about physical accessibility and how a lot of our spaces are very difficult to be physically accessible because a lot of them are repurposed. The furniture is repurposed. Materials are stacked too high. And one of our members had some great ideas and gave us kind of a little list of things she's purchased for her makerspace, like sort of scissors that have like are spring loaded, I think, in a way. Uh, Left-handed scissors. Um, but also the role of community in that because two of our members live very close to one another, and so they've sort of done sort of a tour of the more accessible space to kind of get a sense for what they're doing there to try to make it more accessible. So I think that's a kind of a good summary of some of the things that were talked about. And temporary spaces being kind of a specific issue because you don't have a lot of ability to change them, but often they are very small. In capacity, ADA compliance for sort of wheelchair things, those were both issues that came up.
Yeah. Thanks, Rita.
It's still showing a
Rachel,
lot of people are in the room, so I'm not sure what's going
uh,
on with that.
you, I
Can
don't
you
Or
see
did I?
you.
just force the room
Yeah,
closed?
just close the
Okay,
room.
I thought I did. That's the um
I don't think they are.
it says open all rooms and close rooms. Did I not? It says it's not started, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna. What happens if I delete the rooms?
Go
You're
Will
ahead.
gonna
that bring
have
them
to,
back?
you have to do another three rooms later, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So let's see if it brings them back, and if not, I apologize. And then there's a room I can't like delete now. Are people coming back from rooms yet?
I,
Hello?
I think we're here actually, Kelly. I think everyone is
Okay.
in this main room. At
Fun,
least I
fun,
see my
fun.
group members here. I see my group members here.
Okay.
Um, Rachel, do you want to talk on behalf of group two?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everyone. So hopefully everyone got out of the rooms. I don't know if anyone watches Alice in Borderland, but it kind of reminded me of the last season. No spoilers. So anyway, yeah, so our part we were talking more on the staff end and like policies and such. We didn't exactly go line by, question by question, just kind of a general discussion. So things that came up were about staff buy-in. Like it's one thing to have this stuff, but it's like, well, what is this for? Who's it for? So the staff buy-in. Also, someone brought up the limitations in materials, which I found very interesting because yeah, it's like, oh, we have these particular things for this makerspace. This is what you have to use. When what if someone wants to come in and just make whatever they want? That kind of came up, but it's like, well, you can't necessarily do that because this is what we have to offer. And then also just something as basic as knowing computer basics, like, if you're going to use the Silhouette Cameo, like that's connected to like a PC or a laptop or something. And then, but I don't know how to use that. So that came up about, some folks might need to already have that basic knowledge just to even get started, while there's other libraries that do offer separate computer training, which was great. There was one that came up, which I made note of that taking advantage of there's multi-generational households, like the grandparents are coming in with the little ones, and so just to kind of bridge that gap, which I thought was really great. And then also talking about for training the staff itself, like I said, like if we have these things, like I'm that staff who I have no idea how to use these things, but my staff does, so I'm just like, okay, great, you use that. But I like how one was saying that she leads a tech training class like once a month in the teen space, and then kind of while teaching, like say the first thing she brought up was like a 3D pen, and then kind of just seeing like who really picks it up and becomes interested, and then possibly making them volunteers, and then so it's kind of like just internally like growing from within. So I thought that was great. And then yeah, we were moved out of the room.
I know. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks. Yeah.
So
What
for
about-
room 3, we have Jenny. She's going to share what we discussed.
Great.
Oh, me? Okay, so we were talking about the Quilters Club, that I believe is it Yolanda has the Quilters Club with a different range of people that come in and how to address like different skill levels. So, but unfortunately, Yolanda got cut off before our room finished. So I was wondering if Yolanda wanted to speak to that.
Um, sure. Can everybody hear me?
Mhm.
Um, as she said, I we have STEAM tools. We are a public library system of 4 libraries, and 2 of the libraries have makerspaces. My location does not have a makerspace, but we have STEAM tools. We have a 3D printer. We have 5 sewing machines, which we're getting ready to add more since we were okayed in the grant. And we have a sewing club here. Um, that meets every month on the third Saturday. I started this sewing club last year in March, so we're coming up on our year anniversary. And basically, it is literally a social club, SEW-CIAL, a social club for all skill levels. So it doesn't matter if you've never touched a sewing machine or if you're an advanced seamstress. I never sewed in my life. This was just something that I had to learn in order to bring the community in to experience this. So this last meeting we had in January, we had 8 participants. I have a little girl, it's geared towards ages 13 and up. But I had a little girl whose grandmother is teaching her how to sew. So her mother comes, and as long as her mother stays with her the entire time, I think she's about in 3rd grade, as long as her mother stays, because we do not dummy down, they're real needles, real shears, everything is suited for adults and teens. And so she stays with her and she actually sews, she uses the machine. And basically, what I wanted to say was it depends on what your intent for the program is. In order to merge um, those that are advanced to those who are just beginners, you have to kind of bring it as a collaborative session. And that is what I announce every time, whether they're newcomers, I've had newcomers come in. This is literally a social club for all skill levels. If you're advanced, that's wonderful. All of our projects will be like a 30-minute project because it takes me an hour to complete it. And so basically, we do a different project each meeting, but it is something simple. We may watch a YouTube video. We may, I print out the instructions. They can choose whatever fabric. No one has to bring anything. Everything is supplied. But the intentionality is that we are experiencing this STEAM tool. We are using this STEAM tool. It's not for you to show off how much you know. It's not for you to come in and just feel like you don't belong. It is a collaborative sewing space. We share machines. Nobody has their own machine. Everybody has to pick from the fabric, and we share not only the machines, we share ideas, and literally everybody talks and everybody cheers. There is a no judgment zone in that club. And so it's all about your intentionality of what program you want to present, who you want to present it to, and then what is your intent as the presenter. And so basically, if someone comes in, well, I kind of know this already. That is wonderful. Would you like to share your knowledge with some of the participants as you work here? This is for all skill levels. Maybe I can interest you in this program that we're having for the advanced, but this is what we're doing here today. Basically, you just welcome them in, and that's what I was trying to share. It just depends on your intentionality and what you are trying to present, because you are in control as a staff member. The public is not in control, you are, because it's your STEAM tools. And yes, policies and procedures have to be followed, but for the safety of all and for the safety of your stuff. Because when you're in a STEAM lab, if something breaks down, you might have to buy another one. It's not necessarily that you're going to find a mechanic that can come and fix it. So policies and procedures are very important. And it's very important that people understand that it's a collaborative space, it's a learning space. We're not here to, it's not a competition. We're not here to prove that you know this or you know that. We are in a learning space. This is accessibility for all. And we just want to experience and explore, create and learn on this STEAM tool.
Yolanda, thank you so much for that. This pretty much cover what a lot we were talking about in room three, and I see the passion when it comes to providing resources and not having folks intimidated and having a multi-generational gathering. And I love that you shared about the social elements because a lot of folks do come to library programs to get that social engagement. So thank you for being well-rounded with sharing that information.
Thank you, everyone, for these great discussions. I'm mindful of time. So I'm wondering, Kelly, do you want to put out the second round of breakout session slides up? But I'm wondering if we just sort of share as a whole group. I feel like till we get out in breakout rooms and talk and come back, we're gonna run out of time. So I'm wondering if we try this as a whole group discussion right now instead for a few minutes, just being mindful that we end on time. So the second round of breakouts, we're going to be around outreach, onboarding, and first time experience. So how new users learn what your makerspace looks like, how it is, how it works, the onboarding steps that might unintentionally discourage participation, and how do first timer makers know it's okay to ask questions, make mistakes, start small, etc. The second room is around tools, materials, and access. I think some of that came up in some of the first round of rooms a little bit too. Um, but we can continue that discussion around materials and tool usage and safety, where might access limit some folks, right, in that area, and how you balance access with safety and maintenance and your capacity of your staff, right, to be able to do all of this. And then in room three was about feedback, evaluation, and continuous improvement. So how is anyone gathering feedback on this and beyond just, marking how many people are in the room? Is there certain feedback that everyone's hearing really often? Anyone whose perspectives might be missing? And how do people know their feedback is, valued and acted upon? Skip some of the questions in there, but I'll let you read those. But I'm just going to open this up for group discussion. Please feel free to use the hand tool to raise your hand if you'd like to contribute to any of these questions.
I'm looking at the chat right now. Someone did ask a question. So if anyone wants to answer this, like I think it goes hand in hand. How do first time makers know it's okay to ask questions, make mistakes, or start small? You as the instructor make mistakes, show your iteration and failures.
Mm-hmm. the display of failures. Yes, I see that in the chat. I've definitely seen some makerspaces do that, have kind of a wall of mistakes or exactly to just own up that we're all making mistakes.
Since I am one of the more experienced makers in my library system, I typically have my example, but then I have a volunteer create one as well with to follow the instructions, and then I use any feedback from my volunteer to kind of tweak my process so that it's easier for my participants. I primarily have a maker program or STEAM program for children ages 5 and up and their families. So I need to make sure that all my participants are able to create something. And then I always encourage just the fact that you're creating is great. There's no, I kind of do it in a way of like it's arts and crafts, guys. There's no wrong way to do art. um, there's just happy accidents, and there's always ways we can adjust so that it can come out to what we want it to be, or we can just start over. There's no problem with starting over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that, Tori. I appreciate it. Anyone have any thing they want to add about the outreach onboarding experience too?
I can add, since I've been running my department for almost 10 years, it has been challenging to make sure you find the right staff to help equip the makerspace or the digital media lab. So I've been seeking out folks from graduate students from the university, so Virginia Commonwealth University, and they have a big makerspace in their library system now, but the School of the Arts. So it was challenging before, and then when we find the right staff, is trying to make sure to help continue to build up their skills. So I always provide resources and trainings. There's a lot of free webinars out there too, YouTube videos in order to keep up with their skills. So I'm very curious to see what other staff, other folks have been doing when it comes to onboarding new staff in order to give back to the community.
Thanks, Natasha. Yeah, if anyone has resources, please put them in the chat. Pam, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to say something. I remember seeing examples of this when I was in San Diego several years ago in their maker programs, is having you see yourself in the space. There are some spaces that I went to that had photos of the makers hanging framed on the wall. And if you enter in and you see a picture of somebody that looks like you there, that can be validating and that can be a really fun. So if it's whether it's young people or old people or people from different backgrounds, that can be just a signal, or just like having a pride flag on the wall. It's a signal that, oh, I can come in here, and I can make things here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Pam. What about touching on this last one on feedback, evaluation, and continuous improvement? Is anyone regularly getting feedback?
During my programming, I just tell everybody if there's something going on or you need help with something or you see something that I need to improve or just for the whole process, let me know. I can't adjust. I can't grow unless I'm, informed of where there might be an issue. It's also nice to hear back from everybody too. We do have surveys, online surveys and paper form surveys that I tell them to, like, if you give me a survey back, I don't typically look at them. I turn them into what I need to turn them in. And then, we as staff get the feedback all together. But for that, I usually tell them I can't learn and grow. We can't learn and grow as a system if nobody tells us there's an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And somebody has their hand up. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think for us, we do a little bit of everything. It's talking to people. It's actually taking surveys at the beginning of the class of where people are. Have they tried out Cricut? Have they tried the laser engraver? Understanding where people are at and what they use it for. We do have surveys at the end of the class, but we also like to know what they want from like what other activities they want. So we do some hand-on crafts where it's not like design based as far as using the machine, and then we do design based classes as well. So knowing like we have a huge mixture of different types of people who come to these classes and knowing what they want, it's a constant thing every season of talking to them, having a survey at the end.
Mhm.
And knowing like even just trends, keeping on top of trends too. So
Mhm.
Exactly. And so with us, with our advanced technology classes, we do surveys, but we also ask what our community wants. And not all communities are the same. So we try to adapt to what the community is looking for, but it's always good to make sure you ask questions, make sure you're inviting and know that you're willing to provide resources and programs for them.
Mhm. Thanks, Natasha. Um, this hour always goes by so fast. Okay, I think we have to move to our wrap up because we only have a
I
couple
know it goes by so fast.
minutes left. But I just want to put a quick plug. We know that you all know these challenges, but we also know that you have those creative solutions too. So if you're interested in being a solution partner with us, like I said, we are working on putting together some resources from all of this information you gave us today. You heard Natasha say we're interviewing other libraries around the country. So you can learn more at the website here. I think, oh, yep. And Kelly put it in the chat too. It's a blog post all about the ways that you can help out from very small to just kind of emailing us a story or a picture to really helping us to write these and being a writing partner with us and research partner with us. So we'd love to hear from you. So thank you for all of your time today too. And I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to wrap up the final things.
All right, really quickly, thanks so much to Natasha for putting everything together, Lisa for help, and Rita for helping out with everything, and all of your guys' input and your patience with me as I learn how breakout rooms work. So just kind of a reminder of our upcoming discussions. Next week on February 4th, a little bit earlier, we're going to talk about sustainable and future ready makerspaces. And then on February 11th, we're going to talk about staff growth and empowerment with makerspaces to kind of help with the professional development side of that. And I'm going to share in the chat real quick. If you have some time today, please fill a survey for us. Let us know what you thought of today's session. To give us your input on what more sessions you'd like to see from Library Makers. And if you haven't yet, please join us at librarymakers.org. It's free to make an account, and we can continue the conversation there. It's a really great community, and I love being a part of Library Makers. So get a chance to do that when you can. But thank you again, guys, so much for joining us. I'm going to keep the session open so people can have time to click on all these links that we shared and to connect with everybody else. So I'll stop recording here. Thank you guys again and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. We do have 2 more of these sessions, so we did appreciate, that feedback about the breakouts. We'll try to keep structuring these differently to make more time for them. But if you have other feedback on how we can organize these, because we got 2 more to go, so we can adapt as we go. So really appreciate you taking the time to do that
Definitely,
and for being here and all these great ideas.